I think that we're living through the Bitcoin gold rush era. And I think the Bitcoin gold rush era started January 2024. And I think it runs until around November 2034. So it's about 10 years. So what you have is institutional capital entering, and then you have the supply getting cut in half. How are you going to store your excess cash for a decade or longer? Bitcoin's unique because no amount of capital flowing into a Bitcoin ETF is going to create any more Bitcoin. You know, what we've got is 900 Bitcoin a day. And around April 16th to April 18th of this year, we're going to go to 450 Bitcoin a day. This will be the halving, but it will be the single most consequential halving in the history of Bitcoin, because you're talking about, it's the equivalent of someone coming in the market saying, I'm going to buy $8.5 billion of Bitcoin a year for the next 4 years, guaranteed. That's the demand impact, right? $23 million a day at the current price. Now, that's a huge amount, but more importantly, that's a huge demand supply shift in the year when the demand via the ETFs has jumped by a factor of 4 to 10 times the daily supply. So what you have is institutional capital entering, and then you have the supply getting cut in half. I think this is going to be a good year for Bitcoin. I think we started out the year with the ETF approval, and that was a big milestone. I think that the success of the ETFs is another milestone. I think that the halving in April will be a third positive milestone. I think those three things are going to drive momentum, and I think all the marketing wars between the Wall Street firms is going to be positive, and I think that the assets being normalized throughout the mainstream investment community. And so I think it'll just keep generating momentum from here. I think that we're living through the Bitcoin gold rush era. And I think the Bitcoin gold rush era started January 2024. And I think it runs until around November 2034. So it's about 10 years. And I'll tell you why. Because 93.5% or so of the Bitcoin was mined at the beginning of this period. But in November of 2034, 99% of all the Bitcoin that will ever be issued will have been issued. And so that halving is very symbolic. Practically speaking, all of the block rewards are de minimis starting in 2034. It's, 1% over 100 years may as well be nothing, because the daily volatility and the daily trading volume is going to render that to be somewhere between third order, fourth order, fifth order of magnitude. So that being the case, really, this 10 years is your best chance to get Bitcoin, right? This is the gold rush, because this is the period where there's still a lot of FUD. There's still a lot of uncertainty. People still aren't sure. They don't understand digital energy. They don't understand digital capital. They don't understand digital property. There's a lot of debate in the community. Is Bitcoin a currency, or is it a property? Or, there's massive debate. And a lot of people say, well, it's a currency, and since it's not legal tender, or because it doesn't move fast enough, or I can't buy coffee with it, it's not a good currency. So there's a lot of confusion in the crypto community. There's a lot of mainstream regulators. They think it's a currency. So you see bankers say, oh, it's a currency, but it's not a good currency because I can't buy coffee with it. I can't buy things online with it, and it's too volatile. And they think that's a criticism. If everybody read all these books, if they listened to all your podcasts, if they listened to all my podcasts, if they thought about it for a few hundred hours, tomorrow they would wake up, they would all buy Bitcoin, and Bitcoin would be $5 million a coin. And then we'd be doing this podcast, and you would say, Mike, all the comments from all my followers are, is it too late? I would say, well, it's too late for you to get insanely rich. You're not going to get 100x, right? If you buy Bitcoin at 50,000 when it's 5 million, you're going to be bragging to your kids that you got 100x your return, right? So it's going to be too late for that. But it's not too late to buy it, because it's still better to buy the thermodynamically sound digital asset, which doesn't have all of the liabilities of real estate, stocks, or bonds. There's no reason to worry, right, or fret. You don't want people to figure this out. Like, if they figure it out, you have 10 years during which you can work and you can buy Bitcoin while everybody else disagrees with you and doesn't understand it because they're intellectually lazy or they're a different generation.